What's going on, guys? Today we have another post-commentated video because, well, Camtasia really sucks. And I tried to record with Facecam again and it just didn't want to work. I have no idea why it didn't want to work, but I actually ended up screwing Camtasia up by uninstalling it and trying to update it in hopes that that would improve the video recording quality, and now I'm having troubles getting it to work properly, and it's just all a huge mess. Hopefully it sorts itself out, but you know, maybe I can sort it out and get some Facecam back. I'm really trying. I've done everything I can, but why don't we just go ahead and talk about the team. It's an RU1, and I originally wanted to use Mega Gallade here, but I ended up using Hitmonlee with High Jump Kick, Knockoff, Mach Punch, and Poison Jab, Jolly Nature, Life Orb Reckless as opposed to the Unburdened set because I'm not a huge fan of it. You know, it's easily wasted. And it forces me to run Fake Out, which isn't always the best move. I'd rather use Mach Punch for priority. I've got Poison Jab for fairy types, namely Aromatisse, and I guess an unset up, you know, a non-unburdened Slurpuff. But aside from that, we've also got Choice Specs Exploud, which just busts holes in teams. Everybody knows it. I was just playing around in RU one day and I realized how badly this thing could destroy half the tier. Probably more than half the tier, really. But yeah, I've got Boomburst, of course, and Fire Blast and Surf for coverage against Steel types and Rock types. I've also got Flamethrower on here as opposed to Focus Blast, even though it could be good against the Rock and Steel types. I don't expect to see too many Probo passes or Bastiodons in the tier, so I'm just running Flamethrower as opposed to that because Fire Blast is inaccurate, and you never know. It might be better to run accuracy. So also I'm running the pretty standard, I guess, Doublade set, offensive Doublade with max HP, max attack, Adamant, Shadow Sneak, Iron Head, Sacred Sword, and Sword Stand. Sacred Sword for normal types. I could be running Shadow Claw, but I'm not. Now I've also got Defog Shiftry here, which I was a pretty big fan of, despite its awesome power in NU. It's not exactly the best defogger of all time, but it puts a lot of pressure on teams, and that's good. Knockoff, Sucker Punch, and Leaf Storm. Leaf Storm for great Grass Stab, and then of course Knockoff because it's Knockoff, Sucker Punch priority. And then we've got AV Slowking coming back. This is probably not the exact set that I ran before. I forget what that set was, but I couldn't go back and look because all my teams got deleted for some reason. Don't know why. I didn't delete my cookies, so that was kind of weird, but I'm running Psychic over Psyshock, Flamethrower over Fire Blast, Scald over Surf. Scald, of course, is great just for burning things. And then we've got the physically defensive Gligar. Still not the best physical wall, but it's a pretty good physical wall. And it's a good ground resistance, good fighting resistance. And it has Stealth Rock. It gets U-turn just for pivot, and I can run immunity because I'm not running Defog since I have that on Shiftry. That's pretty much it, I guess, for the team. There's still a lot of threats that can punch holes in it, but you can't be prepared for everything, and I really wasn't aiming to. This isn't the most competitive session. It's just something that I was really hoping to try out because I haven't played RU in a little while. Yeah, we just get a game here against Malka Dragon. I'm just gonna let him know I want him to have a good time, have fun, of course, smiley face. Have fun, smiley face, of course, yes. He tells me to have good luck and that his tournament team will not lose, which is kind of funny. He actually brings out Ambipom like I expect him to do, thinking that it's a normal Ambipom, and it turns out that it's actually the wrong Ambipom according to him. I'm just going to go for Source Dance thinking I'm completely safe, and it turns out that he's special, I guess. Maybe he's Specs, because he does 40% to me with, oh no, he's Life Orb, my bad. He does a lot of damage with Shadow Ball. It's pretty crazy how much damage he does, because Unstab, and I know it's super effective, but I am Eviolite, max HP. But after 2 Life Orb hits, plus 2 Sacred Sword, it's easily going to knock him out. And then he brings in Lopunny, which was his only real other play aside from Tangrowth, I think. I guess maybe Cobalion could have done well since it does have great defense. But I'm going to actually leave in my Doublade right here because the only thing that it's actually useful for at this stage is Delphox, and I do have Shiftry with Sucker Punch, and I have Slowking who can take it on just fine. So I'm going to let this go down and then go into my Gligar, who I think can actually take hits way better than it will. I forget that people actually run Ice Punch. So I'm just going to go for the Earthquake here, try and get some damage off, and he does a ton. He does more than half, which is understandable. Lopunny is actually very, very strong. I think it's what, 135's attack or something like that, 130, I'm not sure. He knocks me out with the second one, and I go into Hitmonlee here just to threaten with the Mach Punch. I think that's my safest play to go for. He could go into Delphox, he could go into Tangrowth, I guess, to sponge it, but he actually goes into Cobalion, which I'm worried is actually going to be the max speed, max HP utility set, so I'm just going to go into my Slowking. I really have nothing to fear from it since I resist his dual stabs, and they, if he goes for Volt Switch, it's really not going to hurt that badly, and I can do some damage to his team regardless. So right here, he's got to think about his move. I'm going to go for a Scald, it's my safest play, and he actually goes for Thunder Wave. He Thunder Waves my really slow Slowking, which is just kind of disgusting. I mean, don't do that, because you're obviously just looking for hacks. I'm not going to outspeed anything on his team, but that's what he does. So he sends in Tangrowth here. I don't want to leave Slowking in. He still has utility, like I said, for the Delphox, and he can survive a hit from Lopunny, I'm sure. Maybe not a crunch from Sharpedo, but he can survive something. And I just go for the Boomburst. Despite my specs being knocked off, it does KO. He says crit mattered. I really don't know. He wasn't AV, which he says he's not. But I never actually calced it. I might actually calc it and then leave that in the description to see if it actually did matter. But like I said, I really don't think it did, because Tangrowth's special defense is not that great. So. But Boomburst is very powerful. I don't know if he realizes that or what. But now I'm stuck in a sticky situation because Lopunny can knock out pretty much anything on my team. And I'm just going to leave in Exploud here. It doesn't outspeed either of the other two things. Can get knocked out by them. And I would rather use my Shiftry, Slowking, and Hitmonlee for better purposes later on in the match. So he's going to go down. Pretty big shame because now his Lopunny is back up to max HP. But I'm gonna go into my Slowking here because I know that I can definitely live a hit. A return is not gonna do all that much to me. I mean, it will do a lot, but nothing I can't regenerate her off. So I'm gonna go for the Scald. Kind of hope for the burn. We'll see what happens. And I expect Sharpedo to come in here. That's why I didn't go for the Psychic. I was also kind of hoping for a burn, but I'm gonna stay in here again. Go for the Scald. I really can't touch this thing. Do I actually stay in and go for the Scald? And he actually checks out my Slowking's stats, which is fine, I guess. Okay, I should kill. So he actually, I don't know if he's playing mind games at this point, but he checks it out and he's like, oh, okay, I'll kill. So I assume he's just going to go straight for the crunch, but he goes for Protect, which was also kind of predictable because why not? Most Sharpedo run Protect, and since they run Protect, it was a pretty predictable move because he might as well do it on my Slowking, who obviously can't touch him. He might as well just get that speed boost for later on. But now that the Mach Punch is so obvious, I'm going to go for the knockoff and just straight take out this Delphox, which was great, which was such a good move on my part. That made this battle a whole lot easier. And now I can save this for the Mach Punch on Sharpedo, but I feel like I don't need to. It is at a low health, and if I let Hitmonlee die to this Lopunny right now, then I can come in with Slowking, Limit Hit, and either Psychic or Scald and get damage off. But I'm really not looking in a good position right now because, like I said, I don't want anything else to take damage. I could let Shiftry go because at best he's going to be able to Sucker Punch either of these, but it's not very effective on either of them, and Mach Punch will actually be more useful, so I might let that go as opposed to going for the Mach Punch. I actually forget. but we'll see how it plays out right here. Now, if I go for Mach Punch and he goes for Drain Punch, then it would be pretty bad for me. But he actually ends up going for the Fake Out, which is great because that allows me to get off some Sucker Punch damage. Not a ton, but potentially enough to knock him out with a Scald or with a Mach Punch. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go for the Scald. I get critted, but luckily I do not get paralyzed, and I do not get what do you call it? I do not get paralyzed. I don't get the burn, but it doesn't matter because at this point I can Mach Punch everything for the victory. So it was actually very close, but I'm very glad that I saved my Hitmonlee right there and actually sacrificed my Shift Tree instead, because it was just the better option. So this guy's what do you call it? His tournament team did lose. Too bad for him, but he put up a good fight along the way. And I'm gonna find another battle here against Checks for Days. I didn't realize that was his name until now. But he's got a pretty fat-looking team with the Registeel, the Audino, which I'm assuming to be Mega Audino, and the Slowking. Yeah, Registeel, Slowking, and Mega Audino. Plus the potentially Dragon Dancing Tyrantrum, always a threat in my opinion. I really like that Mon, but I do have Fly Guard to stop it if need be. And he starts off with his Registeel. I lead off with my Exploud. I'm just going to go for the Fire Blast, see what I can do. I am Choice Spec, so hopefully I can do some big damage. This thing, Registeel, will give me some trouble if I let it stay around for too long. I mean, nothing on my team can hit it particularly hard, and Exploud is probably my best bet. And Boomburst is going to be very ineffective if he keeps it around. So I'm going to pull a double into Shift Tree, expecting him to switch out into something to take the Fire Blast. I was expecting Tyrantrum, kind of, I guess. But, or Slowking more likely, actually. But he goes for the Dazzling Gleam, trying to hit my Dark type super effectively, which is totally understandable. And right here, I want to predict his switch into Registeel because the Iron Head is really obvious, but he actually goes for the Wish. If I had gone for Swords Dance right there, this would be such a problem for him. And I don't want to risk him going out into the Registeel. I mean, it seems like a really obvious play, but I have to go for the Sacred Sword, and he actually does bring the Registeel in. Unfortunately, I do not knock it out, so I'm just going to go for the SD right now and try and get some damage off on him. I kind of mispredict here. I didn't really know what his set was. I figured he would go for another Earthquake, and I didn't want to take any more damage than I had to. So I'm going to go for a Sacred Sword, but as it turns out, he's not going to go for another Earthquake. He goes for the Stealth Rock, which sucks. But what are you going to do? So at this point, I'm kind of hoping that Shadow Sneak can kill, but I don't know if it will or not, and I don't want to risk it, so I'm just going to go for the Sacred Sword instead. Now, I don't know what he can go in. He can go into his Heliolisk. I always forget what that freaking thing's name is. Heliolisk. And try and take me down, but he actually goes into Tyrantrum. Now, fearing the Earthquake, I'm just going to go for the Shadow Sneak, which does a sizable amount of damage, not a ton, but he actually fails to knock me out with Crunch, which means I can go for another Shadow Sneak and bring him down pretty low. And it turns out that he's leftovers, so I know I can outspeed him with, well, I might be able to outspeed him with Shift Tree. Actually, I can't if he's Jolly, which he probably isn't Jolly, come to think of it, but I could definitely outspeed him with Hitmonlee, so I'm going to go into that. Nothing on his team can really switch into Hitmonlee. So that's pretty good. I could go into Gligar, but Hitmonlee is more offensive, puts a lot more pressure on his team, and High Jump Kick, like I was saying, can do a lot of damage. The only things that could switch into a High Jump Kick are maybe Audino and potentially Slow King. So I'm going to go for the knockoff right here because that is also going to do enough damage to anything that he wants to switch in. And it's not worth missing the high jump kick because he does just leave Tyrantraman, which is good. It's good for me. And he goes into Mega Audino, and I'm not confident that a Poison Jab is going to knock him out right now. So I'm actually going to pull the switch out into my Slow King and take that Dazzling Gleam like it's absolutely nothing. I'm just going to go for a Scald right here as he goes for Toxic, which is interesting. I didn't expect to see that on the Audino. Hoping he doesn't have Heal Bell. He's got Dazzling Gleam, Toxic, and Wish. He probably does have it, but he also might have Protect, so that's something to keep in mind. Now, expecting him to either Wish or go for the Protect, I go for another Scald, and now's the time, the moment of truth. He's either going to Protect or he's going to Heal Bell right now. And he's probably not going to Dazzling Gleam, so what I'm going to do is take this opportunity to go into Hitmonlee, hoping for the Protect actually, knowing that Poison Jab might be able to knock it out, or even High Jump Kick, to be completely honest. But as you see here, it is actually Heal Bell, so after he won't take any more burn damage, which means that I'm really not confident in taking it out right now. So what I'm actually going to end up doing is pulling another switch out into my Exploud because I know I can deal really solid damage to it with the Boomburst, and I can also eat up a Dazzling Gleam. So as long as I don't get paralyzed, I should be in a good position right here. But yeah. Mega Audino is actually proven to be more of a roadblock than I thought it would be. It sucks that its ability is completely useless in singles play, but you know, I guess it could be worse. So he actually goes for Dazzling Gleam instead of Wish right there. So even if he takes me out on the next turn with a Dazzling Gleam, then I will be able to knock him out. And he actually pulls the switch out into Slow King, but I get paralyzed, which blows, because I could have done some serious damage to this, even though he probably could have regenerated it off. Oh, that was hard to say. It wasn't the end of the world, because now I do get a free switch into my Shift Tree, and I don't even need to go for the Defog right now. Like I was saying before, nothing wants to take a knockoff exactly, so I'm just going to go for that. And I'm sure it will kill this Slow King. I am max attack. Life Orb is Stab, and Shift Tree is not weak, so something's gonna get hit really hard. And Heliolisk comes in, and Heliolisk is gone because, like I said, Life Orb Shift Tree is nothing to be fucked with. So he goes into Ludicolo right here. I do kind of expect the Ice Beam, and looking at the rest of his team, I want to save Shift Tree for the Slow King. And even possibly Audino, I could hit it with a Leaf Storm, but this thing has a lot of utility, and the only thing that doesn't really have a lot of utility is my Gligar, because it basically loses to Slow King and doesn't really do much to the Audino except let it get back to full health, because honestly, Earthquake's not going to be doing that much damage to Audino. So, oops, yep, I'm gonna switch into that right now, hopefully take an Ice Beam, which I do, and I live, which is crazy, but he's not Life Orb, so I'm assuming he's some sort of lefty set, and it turns out that he actually is. He's got the Substitute, which is great for me, because now I can go into my Hitmonlee for free. Thank God for that pivoting U-turn right there. I'm telling you, it was definitely worthwhile to put that on there. And now nothing switches into a High Jump Kick, because like I said before, if Slow King wants to come in, it'll die to a knockoff, and if Ludicolo stayed in, then it was just going to die to a High Jump Kick. So right now I can sacrifice my Gligar to see what he wants to do. He can't really do anything except maybe set up a Calm Mind, which wouldn't scare me because I do have two physical attackers with dark type moves. And now I can show it off. I can just go for that nice knockoff on Slow King, completely knock it out. take off his assault vest, which I was kind of assuming he was. That seems like the likely set to run, considering I'm running it. It makes the most sense for Slow King this generation. And now I have no fear. I can go for knockoff, and it turns out he actually outspeeds me, so he's running timid, whereas I'm running, I don't remember what the nature is, but it's plus attack. So I'm really not worried right now because I can just go into Hitmonlee and fire off a high jump kick, which I'm sure will kill it. So unless I miss, then I could be in a bad position, but it turns out I do not miss, and I knock him out for the victory. So those were 2 good battles right there. Hopefully I'll be back very soon with some more. And just one more thing before I go. Check out the Emerald Let's Play I just put up a few days ago if you haven't already. I would really appreciate some support on that. That took a really long time to produce. And yeah, definitely just, you know, give it some attention. I'd really like that. I'll be trying to do Soul Silver again soon. And yeah, that's pretty much it. I'll be back with another episode of this in a couple days. But until then, I'll talk to you guys later. Peace.